Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Sunday Live Q&A right here on the Awaken the World YouTube channel. Today, what spirituality is and is not. It is Sunday, February 24th, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we are here together. Hello, Jennifer. So nice to see you. It's funny how you can find this really easily. Kelly, I don't think have you found us yet? She's okay. Kelly will be here. She's here. Sort of. Here she comes. Yay. So, lots of sunshine today. It's really nice out right now, and that's just beautiful. It's a little hard to see, kind of, so I apologize for that with the amount of sunlight that's going on. And there's Kim. Hello, Kim. So nice to see you too. We certainly love having you guys on a Sunday, that's for sure. So I had just finished saying to Kelly that, we really have, just like way back in the day when there was a God for everything, we really still have that today. And, we would call those gods things like money and cars and houses and possessions, objects, anything that you are clinging to in the hopes of getting something out of it, it's actually got you. You're clinging to it all right. You're clinging to its feet on your knees, and it has you. It becomes your God. And we put these gods ahead of everything we know to be true, everything we know to be good about ourselves so many times, and then we rationalize the behavior, failing to understand we're worshiping these false gods and not going within and seeing the true self, the true God within. Oh boy, Kim, I know, you work so hard and study so hard. You're making me tired. But we are very happy that you're here and grateful that you're here and happy that you did get some rest too. So, and that had just kind of come out of the blue when Kelly and I were talking that, indeed, it really works that way, where we subsume ourselves to whatever it is that we feel we're going to get some sort of benefit from. And when all your power comes back to you and is within, and you cease to do that, then you become your own creator. You understand that divinity is within you, and that it is part of you, and that you are surrounded by it and made from it. Which doesn't mean you put yourself egoically on a totem pole. I'm God and no one else is. Everybody is that creative sea of consciousness. All of us together. So be careful that you do not devolve into what most of the human race is doing, and that is still stuck in the days of pantheism, worshiping literally countless thousands and thousands of different gods. Money being a big one, fame being another fairly popular one. All these deities that are somehow supposed to reward us in some way for our servitude and our worship and our time and energy and effort that we have to put into them. Even this computer system, I have to come here and worship the computer system every once in a while. Clean it up, make sure it's functioning right. How do you separate yourself from these sort of things and not have these myriad number of gods that you are on your knees to? And ultimately, the way to do that is to not attach yourselves to them. Because what you think you're wrapping your arms around to hold is actually gripping onto you. And when you just enjoy whatever is in the present moment, and you're not attached, not thinking about how long it'll last, which is projections into the future, not doing anything except accepting what is, then you have true enjoyment of the present moment, true presence of being, and you need no gods to worship. So, nice little way to start our talk on what is spirituality. And I'm a pain in the butt when it comes to putting titles specifically designed to get some reaction out of people, because people have a fairly good idea in their heads of what spirituality is, I'm sure, and they also are on guard for someone saying what they're doing is not. And it becomes a bit of an egoic game. So let's just be crystal clear about this, okay? At all times when we're trying to define things that are quite honestly beyond definition with words, we're still using words, and there's an inherent problem with them, right? Words are frozen little blocks, little utterances that we use to try to convey a deeper expression of meaning and experience. And how can we apply that to spirituality and come to some sort of base understanding? Not to box spirituality in, but indeed to throw all the boxes out and just put one loose lasso around it all. And I would say if we're going to do that, that spirituality would be most easily equated to personal. So first and foremost, spirituality is a personal relationship. A relationship between you and whatever you consider the divine to be, in whatever form or shape or way that you consider divinity to manifest. So perhaps we can start with that. We can start with the personal aspect of spirituality, that spirituality as a definition can be encompassed and include everyone by saying that it is a personal experience and work in relation to our thoughts and beliefs and feelings that are generated by our thoughts and beliefs about that divine aspect of our existence. Now, that divine aspect may be a personal divinity or a universal divinity separate from the personal. And of course, we've seen this in various religions as well. So, how do we delineate and perhaps move religion aside for the moment? And just as all woodpeckers are flickers, but not all flickers are woodpeckers, all religions certainly have the opportunity for spirituality within them, but not all religions on the whole are truly spiritual. So what does this really mean? Well, inside of each religion, there is considered a Gnostic or mysticism division of that religion. And within that, spirituality returns to its personal state. Now, that doesn't mean that people who attend church do not have a personal relationship and engage in their own personal spirituality. But what tends to happen on a religious level is it's almost forced back into the mind. It is done so through repetition, through particular ceremonies, particular ways that you must believe, what you must accept and not accept, which of course form a tight, narrow little band in which spirituality can be experienced by that individual within the religion. And this is that tight, narrow little band of ego, a depth of field of reality, if you will, that, let us say, a mainstream fundamental Christian has. It is not that they cannot or do not experience spirituality, a personal connection with the divinity, whether they believe it to be out there in heaven somewhere or within is not really important. What's important is their experience with that divinity is only occurring on the general day-to-day basis within that small field of their vision. They're standing too close to the orange, and they're only seeing one small section of the peel, and they believe that's the whole orange. So setting religion aside and returning to spirituality, one of the second definitions that we need to apply to spirituality in relation to what we just talked about is openness. Spirituality, by its very nature, makes us aware that there is no path that does not lead back home. All roads lead to Rome, back home. Every path. From the most mundane, from the most depraved that they would see, or we would imagine, to the most sublime, every single path is guiding us back home. There is no way to fall off the trail. So a second definition that we can apply to spirituality as far as whether we or not are a spiritual individual, okay, if we must label ourselves as such, is to understand a respect and gratitude for every person's path. That includes religion. As I've said before, religion is not a bad thing, although a lot of the things that come out, we could certainly judge them as not having the effect that we wish them to have. But I owe my first awakening experience that there was something more than myself to Catholicism and my early life upbringing within the Catholic Church. That was a play school as such of growing conscious awareness. And I did realize that there was more than myself through that experience. This is the beauty of our existence here. No road will ever take you away from your Creator. No matter which way you try to run, you're always running towards the sun. Always. Why must we accept all paths? And again, if we want to truly consider ourselves an open spiritual being, we must understand that even though it appears that humanity is experiencing a varied levels of consciousness in individual forms, there's actually one whole of humanity that's evolving forward. And sometimes you may meet those who are still on the back leg, which is a little bit behind the times. Still have that back foot in the mud. Haven't quite raised that knee up into the light yet. It all depends where in the body of humanity you are with your awakening. So when we accept all paths, when we are willing not to judge another, when we are willing to, with compassion, understand that we once at that level on the path as well were contributing to the whole in the same way that this person today is also contributing to the whole, we are offered the opportunity to put spirituality into action. And this is probably the most defining trait of a spiritual existence. The willingness to act beyond thought, to allow that deeper emotive force of your being, that higher, that higher self, to operate freely through the vessel that you are. And of course, we do that most easily by seeing ourselves in the other, by recognizing the whole developing, evolving, awakening human species that we are part of. And then to take whatever steps out of compassion we can to help guide another on their path. always knowing we are working together, hand in hand. Now, this can be very easy, at the day-to-day level for some people. For some, it's more difficult. But what about those heavier situations where we run into the killing of another or the harming of another? And, one of the questions I had to ask Kelly one day is, why is it that 40,000 plus children starve to death every day and it doesn't seem to bother a lot of people? And of course, the awareness is always the same. The answer is always the same. And the answer is where your awareness is pointed. When you keep your awareness centered in your higher being, when you keep your awareness centered in that personal level of your own spirituality, your own connection, you live in a place then of your own truth. And when you live in a place of your own truth, and this leads to the last of the defining characteristics of spirituality. You have no need to fight with another and argue and become angry with another in relation to your truth. You understand that your truth has been an evolution, and that the truth you held a decade ago, last month, last year, will not necessarily be the truth that you're holding today or the truth that you're going to hold a year from now. That truth, as in the universe itself and all of creation, is evolving back into itself. And our levels of truth and understanding of truth are also evolving. As above, so below. Within the micro and the small, so it is in the macro and the large. So in that regard, the last trait that we can recognize of those on a spiritual path is, of course, to remain open and aware that no matter where we are on a journey, no matter what is occurring, it is what is best. It is what needs to be, and it simply is. The underlying core that tends to queer this whole deal and send us off into the realm of ego, of course, is the idea of absolutes, where we begin to talk about absolute truth. Now, we can say, well, it is an absolute truth that we were all part of that divine sea of consciousness. But feel that for a moment. Without the experience being personal, it is simply a conceptual thought. It lacks truth in that regard. It lacks realness. Why? Because you have not experientially absorbed it. It has only been absorbed at the lightest and most shallowest of levels, the levels of mind concept. Now, in deeper states of meditation, of course, as you get deeper and deeper into that still state and the mind gets quiet and that sense of I disappears, then you experience the truth of your existence at a much higher level. You can experience that connectivity. But that truth, again, is fluid. There are higher and higher levels of truth through our evolution as we evolve over what we would term eons of time in this universe. So beware of the absolutes, especially when we're dealing with others. Living a truly spiritual life, well, honestly, what is spirituality? Life is spirituality. Life is all about the personal relationship with you and divinity, whether you're aware of it or not. And because of that, spirituality can actually not be anything. Everything has the opportunity to exhibit the traits that we would consider spiritual in nature. Why? Because it's up to us. It's up to what you and I decide on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis. Realizing I am precedes everything. And then whatever you choose to create after that, you become. The beauty of it is that becoming is part of the play. You can then choose again, I am, and become something totally new. You are not stuck to any one level of being. You are not the sum of your past. You are not the roles that you play, but you love to play roles, as does creation itself. Creation itself right now is the master role player. It is right now playing a limitless number of roles, looking back on itself, evolving back on itself. And I am one of those roles, and you are one of those roles. And within that role, we have the opportunity as creators ourselves in co-creation with creation to choose. You know, once I am a soldier, defined Garhen. Now I like to leave it at I am. And then whatever is necessary, I become for the time. But I understand that that becoming for the time is just a role. All of me began and ended at the I am. Much love to you today. I hope you've enjoyed this little presentation. We look forward to a glorious meditation again tomorrow evening on the Awaken the World channel on Facebook, the Facebook page. And of course, more meditations that'll be loaded this week. Another live one coming up Wednesday on the Help Awaken YouTube channel. We'll see you all very soon. Namaste, and have a beautiful Sunday afternoon.